The 10th of June, 1990. A British Airways BAC One-Eleven climbs through 17,000 feet over southern England. Inside the cockpit, Captain Tim Lancaster is enjoying a routine flight. Then, without warning, the left windshield explodes outward. The sudden decompression rips Lancaster from his seat. His upper body is sucked through the gaping hole, his torso pinned against the outside of the aircraft.
He's exposed to -17 degrees Celsius freezing wind, 400 miles per hour slipstream, and the deafening roar of the engines. His legs are the only thing keeping him inside, trapped against the control column.
Meanwhile, the co-pilot must land the plane, with his captain hanging outside the window. This is the impossible, miraculous story of British Airways Flight 5390.
The 10th of June, 1990. British Airways Flight 5390, a BAC One-Eleven, 528 fluid ounces, departed Birmingham Airport at 7:20 a.m., bound for Málaga, Spain.
On board, 81 passengers and 6 crew. The captain, 42-year-old Tim Lancaster, a highly experienced pilot with over 11,000 flight hours. The first officer, 39-year-old Alastair Atchison, with 7,500 hours. The flight was routine, a short hop to the sunny Spanish coast. Passengers settled in for their holiday. The crew served breakfast. Everything was normal. Then came the explosion. At 7:33 a.m., the aircraft had reached 17,300 feet. The cabin was pressurized. Captain Lancaster unbuckled his shoulder, harnessed something pilots routinely do on cruise, leaving only his lap belt fastened. Then, without warning, the left cockpit windshield exploded outward. The cause: the windshield had been fitted with the wrong size bolts during maintenance. The previous day, an engineer had replaced the windshield. He used bolts that were just 0.66 millimeters too small. They couldn't handle the pressure.
The explosive decompression was violent and immediate. A deafening roar filled the cockpit. Fog and debris rushed through the opening. Papers, charts, and loose items were sucked out.
And so was Captain Lancaster. The force of the decompression ripped him from his seat, pulling his upper body through the 18-inch hole. His back slammed against the fuselage. His legs remained trapped in the cockpit, caught on the control column and the flight deck door. He was pinned against the outside of the aircraft, exposed to the elements.
First Officer Alastair Atchison was now in command.
He grabbed the controls, fighting to keep the aircraft stable. The plane had nosed down sharply. He pulled back on the yoke, wrestling the aircraft back to level flight.
Flight attendant Nigel Ogden entered the cockpit to investigate the commotion. What he saw changed his life.
Captain Lancaster was hanging halfway out of the aircraft. His arms were flailing. His head was being violently buffeted by 400 miles per hour's wind. His eyes were wide open, his mouth stretched wide. Ogden later described it as the most horrifying thing I've ever seen. Ogden grabbed Lancaster's legs and held on for dear life. He couldn't let go. For over 20 minutes, he held the captain's legs, fighting the immense force trying to pull him out. Ogden later said, "I was clinging to the captain's legs, and I was thinking, if he goes out, I'll follow him out through that same hole." The whole time, my mind was just filled with the thought. At one point, a female cabin crew member came to the cockpit door, saw the scene, and fainted. Ogden had to keep holding. Atchison declared an emergency and requested an immediate landing at Southampton Airport. He was now flying a badly damaged aircraft with his captain hanging outside, and he had to land it. The approach was a nightmare. Atchison couldn't see the runway properly. Lancaster's body was blocking part of the windshield. The cockpit was freezing. The aircraft was handling strangely. And he had to land at a higher than normal speed to maintain control.
Air traffic control cleared the runway, and emergency services scrambled. Atchison lined up the approach. He managed to land the aircraft smoothly. The aircraft's tail cone scraped the runway due to the odd weight distribution, but it was a controlled landing.
In the cockpit, Nigel Ogden never let go of Lancaster's legs. He held on throughout the entire landing approach. He held on as the aircraft touched down. He held on until the aircraft came to a complete stop. Atchison had done the impossible. He had landed a crippled aircraft with his captain hanging outside. Emergency services rushed to the aircraft. They found Captain Lancaster still pinned against the fuselage, unconscious. Remarkably, he was still alive. They cut him free and immediately began CPR. He had suffered frostbite, multiple fractures, hypothermia, severe shock, bruising from the violent wind. But he was alive. Against all odds, Tim Lancaster survived being sucked out of a cockpit at 17,000 feet. He was airlifted to a hospital where he made a full recovery. Within 5 months, he was back flying. He later returned to duty as a captain, continued flying with British Airways, and even met Nigel Ogden and Alastair Atchison again. A decade after the incident, the Sun newspaper reported that Lancaster and Ogden had met for a drink to mark the anniversary, an emotional reunion. The investigation into the accident revealed the cause. The windshield had been fitted with the wrong bolts. The maintenance engineer had used bolts that were 0.66 millimeters too small. He couldn't read the repair manual because his reading glasses weren't up to date, a tragic oversight. The engineer had inspected the bolts by eye and thought they looked correct. He didn't use a measuring tool. After the incident, he was suspended and later resigned.
But the investigation was also critical of British Airways for not providing proper training and equipment.
The Air Accidents Investigation Branch, AAIB, made several recommendations.
Mandatory verification of part numbers before installation.
Stricter quality control procedures. Reading glasses must be up to date for all engineers.
The incident was featured in the Air Crash Investigation television series under the title Killer Windshield. It stands as a testament to the extraordinary human spirit.
3 men deserve recognition for this miraculous survival. First Officer Alastair Atchison displayed extraordinary composure. He flew a damaged aircraft with his captain hanging outside for 20 minutes. He landed safely. He saved 86 lives.
His actions were described by the AAIB as exemplary. Flight attendant Nigel Ogden showed extraordinary courage. For 20 minutes, he held on to Captain Lancaster's legs, preventing him from being completely sucked out or hitting the tail.
He later said he held on despite his arms aching, almost to the point of collapse. He had to return to work immediately, as he was one of the few cabin crew members still conscious and had to ensure the safe evacuation of passengers.
Captain Tim Lancaster survived against all medical odds. His recovery was described as miraculous. He returned to flying, later rising from captain to senior training captain with British Airways.
In 2014, he was awarded the British Empire Medal for services to aviation and charity. All 3 men were awarded the Royal Aeronautical Society's Gold Medal.
The story of British Airways Flight 5390 is a testament to human endurance and professional courage. First Officer Atchison flew with his captain hanging outside.
Flight attendant Ogden held on for 20 minutes with extraordinary strength. Captain Lancaster survived against impossible odds. Their story reminds us that in aviation, the most important safety feature isn't technology, it's the human spirit. The pilots who train for emergencies, the cabin crew who refused to let go, the captain who survived the unsurvivable. They flew together, they fought together, and they survived together. This is the miracle of Flight 5390.